this.
'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've travelled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Mooloolaba, Nambour, Roachtor, Kilmore, Marillaba, Birdsville, Emmaville, Wallaville, Connemara,
Rankins Springs.
Crossbine, Alladala, Darwin, Gingin, Lillaquen, Muckdilla, Wallamilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, Ramakilla. I've been everywhere, man.
Yes. I don't know that Lucky has ever been where we're going today. We are going to a place called Rankins Springs. That's all I'm telling you at the moment. Rob, good morning to you. Mark Groat.
Good morning, Mark.
Hey. How are you?
Going good. Obvious first question, where the hell is Rankins Springs?
Fair questions. All roads lead to Rankins Springs. So it's actually on the Mid-Western Highway between West Wyalong and Hay.
Oh, so it's not in the middle of nowhere, but if you stand on tippy toes, you can see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you stand on tippy toes and look all the way to the west, you can actually see your own back of your head on the east.
You got any border Leicesters up there?
We've got pretty well everything, actually.
Magnificent. I'm liking the place already.
Mark, I do need to tell you that Rob has just been asked to be the guest speaker at a Border Leicester get-together as the keynote speaker. He only he looked up the internet to find out what a Border Leicester was the other day. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. That's his only claim to fame around sheep.
I'm feeling a bit chuffed this morning, Mark. So farming, very much part of my life, and I guess it's very much part of yours. But what's the key industrial piece around Rankins Springs?
Yeah, absolutely farming. Yeah, dryland ag, mixed farming, mostly sort of traditional sheep wheat type country. More of an emphasis on the wheat than the sheep nowadays, probably, but still a big part of the area.
Well, I think it staggers me, and not many people listening would understand, but for someone who's been in agriculture, at one stage there was 170 million sheep in Australia. Now there's about 72, I think, at the last count. So that gives you a fair...
72 million, not 72, because I passed 100 of them on the way in, yeah.
There's a fair indication that there's been a change of the way we do agriculture to shift that many sheep, and it has been cereal and canola farming in particular that have taken over that acreage.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair thing. 72 million is still a lot of sheep, obviously, but you're right. Yeah, the technology and the cultivation has changed the ball game, and probably the profitability in the cropping, really. Yeah.
It always gets Neil. Always gets down to the weather, though, Mark. And you look up at the sky, and it says whether you're going to make a quid or not every year. A lot of discussion around climate change, but in your time in the industry, are farmers doing things differently because the climate has changed?
Farmers are an adaptable bunch, and yes, I think that's a fair thing. You know, the dollars involved nowadays just to put a crop in and not knowing if you're going to harvest it is a huge decision they've got to make, and they've got to lessen that risk as much as they can. Putting it in on moisture, which we've been able to do this year, is a monster thing. So great start to the season for our area. But de-risking, the decisions they're making every day are major.
And have you been putting that crop in with the assistance of the press wheels, Mark?
Yep.
There you go. That's another little agricultural term I whipped in there.
Yeah, he's got Google open in front of him, and he's looking for. He's got, what can I talk about at Rankins Springs? I suspect also, and I don't expect you to have the definitive statistics in front of you, but that's never been a problem on this radio program. We just make stuff up. I suspect if we had 170 million sheep and now we've got 72, I know Tommy goes and buys a lot of them. That's what he does for a job, but. The increase of population in the same time, does that suggest that the eating habits of people are changing, that they're not having a roast lamb every Sunday, but instead maybe the vegetarian and vegan lot have got hold of this a little as well?
Yeah, probably it is a change of protein, absolutely. And it's, it really was Australia riding the seats back in those days from a wool point of view. Wool's been variable as well. The onset of the synthetics and expensive wool and so on is making a bit of a comeback, thankfully, because it is a fantastic fibre. But it's a combination, absolutely. Yeah.
And rumour reaches me that you know a little bit about growing rice. Rice is not a crop that we see a lot down here. Is that still going gangbusters in your part of the world?
Yeah, it is. So Rice and Rankins Springs aren't necessarily one and the same. You'd use in the same conversation. So we're about, Rankins Springs is about 50 k's north of the Murrumbidgee irrigation area where a lot of Australia's rice is grown. And it is. It's obviously the variation of water is the limiting factor for a lot of these annual irrigated crops. But we actually grow the best rice in the world. We're the highest yielding rice in the world. And these long summers and long days, hot summers are perfect for rice growing. So, and we've got beautiful dirt, clear blue sky, recipe for rice, and a lot of the irrigated summer cropping is that's the reason we can do it really well.
Okay, we found out about the farming. Let's talk about the community of Rankins Springs. I guess it's typical. You'd have a bit of Australian rules footy, a bit of rugby at this time of year, cricket, tennis in the summer. Is it just a common little country town?
It is a typical country town. I've got to say, like I was born and bred there. It's really I've going to live. I don't live in Rankins Springs now. I live within it. My brother still farms on the farm we grew up on. So it's still home. I think it's still home for all our tribe. But things have certainly changed. You know, in my day, everyone had, when I was growing up, everyone had 4 kids. Everyone had one farm. The pub was packed on a Friday night and all this sort of thing. And now everyone's got 3 or 4 farms. Need to make a living nowadays, and everyone's got 2 or 3 kids rather than 4 or 5. So those communities certainly struggle in numbers compared to where they did a generation or 2 ago. But in saying that, that community spirit in those areas are great. So today they've got the Community Cup on. So back in the day it used to be Group 17 Rugby League, and Group 17 Rugby League had 8 or 9 clubs, 3 or 4 teams a club, and Group 17 Rugby League doesn't even exist anymore. So a few of the local blokes actually from Rankins Springs started up the Community Cup, and they've got I think six clubs now. They have a big round robin. They all join up at one town per week, and they get 1,000 odd people through the gate. They really support the local community and the local area, and the local club is the focal point, and or local pub, and and it's just a real great example of the communities pulling together in these small areas and having a ball together.
What a wonderful, wonderful concept. I'm sort of getting, while you're talking about how does that work, but now I see that you basically take the game to the people rather than have the people need to get in their cars and every Saturday head off. That's a really, really good idea to keep everyone involved in sport and keep communities together. Yeah,
it works well, and they modify the rules a bit. I think they call it safety rule or something. So not as hard on the body. They they only had 2 people in a tackle, and they've only got a 5-yard rule rather than a 10-yard rule, or 10-metre rule, so that you can't get up that speed and slam into people as hard. So still a great game, still a really competitive game. They get into it, but probably more of a focus on the social aspect, which is what everyone's there for, and they can play longer.
And the most important question before we let you go, I'm driving from Hay to West Wyalong and I stop in Rankins Springs. Am I going to get a decent pie at the bakery?
You are going. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get a decent pie at the bakery because there isn't one.
Oh, that's rude.
But there's a couple of great little shops, and you will get a great treat at the pub, and it is one of the best beers in New South Wales.
There you go.
Sounds like a place that Robert and I should come and visit at some stage. Just a little bit out of the way for us on the way home. But
I might bring some press wheels up for you, Mark.
or as he generally does where he goes, bring the press with him.
Yeah. I was saying, you're passing through these communities and you're heading down the highway and you think, God, look at these little places and there's boring joints. But what's happening, just off the road a little bit, and the production that's happening around the place, and that's what's that's what's putting food in the supermarkets, these areas, just sort of appreciate the wider area that you're driving through.
We certainly love what you folks do.
Thanks, Mark, for joining us on Regional Roundup. Look forward to catching up soon.